right? Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Rolling.
First thing, take the marble slab outside, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, perfect temperature. It's good to make sure that it's not facing the sun. The sun will keep it from getting cold. Okay, start by buttering the pan in which the fudge will be placed when it's set, and also butter the copper pot in which it will be cooked. Use real butter, and the recipe calls for, this is half a stick, so I cut it in half, so that's a quarter, and I cut another half in half, which is an eighth. And I take the part that's not going to be used and I use it to butter the pan. Copper pot. Now notice this is copper, which has a thermal conductivity that is twice that of aluminum and probably almost 10 times that of stainless steel. So there's uniform heat transfer very quickly, and it's got the hemispherical shape for more uniform heat transfer from the flame. It keeps the fudge at a uniform temperature as it's heating up. I have wax paper. Just press the fudge down when it's set. So this is half and half. I've already used it, half of it for one batch of fudge, and what remains is exactly what I need, 2 cups of half and half for the recipe. You pour it into a buttered copper pot, turn it on a very low flame. It's important, we want to warm it up a little bit above room temperature. So it's important to watch it carefully, have a low heat so that it doesn't start to scald and skim on the top. So we're going to let that warm up now and then prepare the chocolate for melting in the microwave. All right, now we're going to put in 5.5 ounces of 100% cocoa. I use Ghirardelli because it's high quality. That's 4. There's 5.5. We take this to the microwave. Power level 5. 5 minutes. Next we prepare the sugar. 5 1/4 cups of granulated cane sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the sugar. We'll do a scant 1/3 of a cup of light Karo syrup. I don't use a 1/4 cup because we need a little bit more than that. So I take a 1/3, then 1/8 of an inch of the top of this 1/3 cup.
You guys do the walk.
Okay, so now the half and half is lukewarm. Put your finger in, you can tell if it's lukewarm. We put the 5 1/4 cups of sugar. And next is the scant 1/3 cup of light Karo syrup. And we have the melted chocolate. Try to scrape it clean. Let the chocolate do its job, fulfill its purpose. Get every bit possible. Pretty good. We use a wooden spoon because it does not conduct heat well, and you can leave it in the pot against the rim of the pot and it won't get hot. You come back and stir it occasionally once it's heating up. So right now we stir everything together while the burner is still on a very low heat, and after we get it all mixed together here just in about 30 seconds. We'll turn the heat up to just under medium. And I'll keep stirring it until it comes to a boil. So this will be a slow process, maybe 20 minutes. 10:08 in the morning here in New York State, day after Thanksgiving, 2024. So we've been heating it up and stirring it for 2 minutes now. If you're using an electric stove, it's more difficult because the flame tends to climb up the shape of the pot, where on an electric stove it's just flat to the hemisphere. You can put a little collar stand around the pot to help contain the heat. On an electric stove, that helps it. It can be done. I've made it on an electric stove many times. We're at sea level approximately, so we're going to be cooking it to 234 degrees plus a little. Now, if you are above sea level, you'll have to boil water to see what temperature the water boils at and adjust your temperature accordingly. That's very important, especially if you go from sea level up to the mountains. Just gentle mixing. I received this copper pot as a Christmas present from my mother when I was a teenager. Every Christmas season I probably cook 30 batches like this, most of which we give as gifts to friends and family. This is the third batch this season that I've made. You can see it's starting to boil at the circumference here of the pot. When it comes to a rolling boil, that's when I'll stop stirring, put the thermometer in, and lower the heat. Let it slowly heat up to 234 plus a little for my thermometer. So the time is 10:17, so we've been heating it from start for 9 minutes. Not too bad. You can see we have a nice rolling boil now. You can see there's plenty of volume left in the pot. It's going to rise quite a bit when it starts to boil, and there's enough volume in the pot to accommodate that rise. Now we're going to put the thermometer in and then lower the heat now to between low and medium low, maybe about 2/3 of the way to medium low. Then I'll just stir it like this occasionally every 3 or 4 minutes. Give it a little stir and watch it rise. Actually, this is the time now while it's just sitting here to prepare the nuts, if you want to put nuts in it, pecans or walnuts. So that's what I'm going to do next. After bringing the fudge to a boil, I went over and washed my hands. I'm going to break these nuts up into little pieces, as you see here. I'm using 3/4 of a cup of English walnuts. Sometimes you can use pecans. Some people might put cashews in. Okay, time to get the marble slab. Put it on a cloth so it doesn't scratch the countertop, and also it's thermal insulator barrier so it doesn't transfer heat into the countertop, because you want all the cold to retain into the marble slab for the chilling of the fudge. Paper towel with cold water. that I wipe this down. And then I take another clean paper towel to dry it off. Now this is ready for the marble slab, or for the hot fudge. So when it reached 2:30, that's when I went out to retrieve the marble slab and prep it, clean it, and have it ready for the fudge. And right now it's reading about almost 2:32. And we're gonna go to 2:34 plus a little. Right now it's 10:40. We started heating it at 10:08 and we lowered the flame at 10:17, so you have an idea how long this takes. And I stir it like this gently just to make sure that the heat is uniform throughout. When you stir it, sometimes you can actually lower the temperature. Watch the temperature very carefully because you just want it to reach the temperature, your target temperature, and not go over. I'll put my reading glasses on to make sure I can read it accurately. Just under 234. I'm using a mercury thermometer that my mom gave me when I was a teenager, along with a copper pot. But you can buy an accurate digital thermometer that will read with more precision than this one. So that's probably the way to go if you're going to make this, buy a good digital thermometer. Almost there. I'm reading 234, and as soon as it just inches up a bit more, I'm going to shut the heat off. Okay, done. Now we take it over to the marble slab. Take the thermometer out, let it drip. Spoon out. Copper pot is very hot, so you want to be careful holding it and pouring it. Scrape it. You want to get every bit out as possible. First thing we do is put the butter on. I'm gonna wash my hands one more time before I start working it. Now we put in 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons of vanilla. This is a 1.5 teaspoon measuring spoon. So we put 2 in. Okay, now, usually at this time I'll just start working it, but just so you know, this is a little bit more than room temperature at the edge. That's usually what I wait to. And I'll demonstrate the lesson that my mom gave me. I was about 11 years old. She used to make this just in an aluminum pan and then slow cool it to a certain temperature and then work it by hand in the pan with a wooden spoon. I was a little boy and I thought it was the best thing to make fudge like that in your home. And she said if you had it made on a marble slab, it would be even better. And she ended up getting a marble slab when I was about 11 years old, and I was all excited for her to make fudge on the marble slab, but she said, well, you're gonna have to learn how to make it. And so I made fudge for the first time, as you saw on the stove. And I said, poured it out like this. She's instructed me. I said, now what do I do? And she said, well, just use the spatula, work it around. I said, well, how? And she went like this. And then handed me the spatula. That was my lesson. I'm gonna give you a better lesson, a more thorough lesson. It worked. What my mom taught me worked. I'll say that much. And then she kind of left the room, and I said, well, Mom, don't leave me. She would come back every now and then and say, it looks like you're doing okay, Mike. Now what we're trying to do is just incorporate the melting butter and the vanilla without losing anything over the side. And you can see we got vanilla kind of on the perimeter here. We're going to pull it in carefully and pull the butter in so we don't lose anything over the edge. Just gotta be patient and let it mix in gradually. So right now you can see how it's kind of flowing and wanting to spread out. And when we're finished, it's going to be one stiff ball of fudge. It's kind of shiny now, has gloss to it, and when it's finished it will have lost its gloss. It'll be more of a matte. This recipe was a recipe that my mom had. This was in the 1950s. I grew up in Chicago. My mom had a recipe from a married couple, Francois and Antoinette Pope. They had a cooking school in Chicago that my aunt went to. And they had several cookbooks which you can buy. They're out of print now, but you can purchase them on eBay. But anyway, the recipe was in the candy making cookbook that Francois and Antoinette Pope published. And I bought that book for my mom as a gift, Christmas gift, when I was a teenager. But she had the recipe for this fudge that was in that cookbook. That's a recipe that she used. And what I did in order to, the recipe called for 1 2/3 cups of half and half. And I ratioed up the recipe to take 1 or 2 cups of half and half, because that's, you can buy 2 cups of half and half in a carton, or a quart carton, and then there are 4 cups. So I just wanted to be able to use all the half and half and not have a little bit left over. So I ratioed it up, and I also ratioed up the chocolate. I have a little bit richer chocolate recipe than what my mom used in Francois' cookbook. So it's a little bit richer. And then the light Karo syrup is supposed to add some creaminess to the end result. And working it on the chilled marble slab, as you see here, pulls it in a way that it maintains a very creamy state, not grainy, sugar grainy like you might experience in most fudges that you buy or even make at home. So the secret is precise heating to a temperature, in this case 234 Fahrenheit, plus a little, and then pouring it on a chilled marble slab, which rapidly cools it, and working it like this. All of it combines to a very creamy, rich fudge. It has a very unique taste and texture. And using good ingredients is very important. Like I said, Ghirardelli chocolate, real butter, half and half. Turn it over to my second graduate, over 50 plus years or more of making this, Audrey, my granddaughter. Go ahead. When Audrey was doing her first batch, where she graduated from the School of Fudge Making, at the end she said, "This is a full body workout." And right now it's 11:02, and remember when we started cooking it was 10:08, so we're almost an hour into this. So it counts as exercise, aerobic exercise. You burn your calories before you consume them by eating the fudge. You can wipe it down with a knife too if you want.
You mean off the spatula?
Yeah. Go over, pull it this way. Get over there and pull it.
Ready?
Yeah, just draw it down flat a little bit. Yeah. We'll put a half in and then. Form like a ball. It's keeping its shape. You can see the nuts, they kind of separate a little bit. This is all indicating that it's set up, ready to go. Use wax paper to push it down. Trying to fill the corners. Keep it nice and flat along the edges so it's all kind of one level. And there you go. Now you just cut it and serve. The thing about it, it has a unique taste right now, and I have one child who, when she was growing up, she would only eat it now. It's still warm.
All right, cut.